It's a real pleasure to be with you today, okay, virtually. But thank you very much for having me today here. And in this presentation, I'll talk, as you mentioned, about automotive sector, how it's being transformed with the industrial 4.0 initiatives. But first, a quick introduction about myself. So my name is Seham El Behissy, based from UAE. I'm working currently at Renault Middle East Pacific with over 16 years of experience on different areas, mainly on digital and customer experience transformation. And for the last 3 years, I've been working on connected cars project for the region. So without any further delay, I'll just start my session, and I'm actually dividing it into different, let's say, topics. So first, introducing Industry 4.0 and how is the impact directly on the automotive, quickly, briefly, and then going through different initiatives or let's say technologies and how it can help or improve different business or customer experience processes. So way back to 1913, when Henry Ford, founder of Ford Motor Company, maybe we all know that he introduced the assembly line technique in mass production manufacturing. So essentially, with this, actually, it converted the automobile from being an expensive luxury to have it a kind of a practical mobility option for the public. And this was a major revolution in the automotive industry at that time. Now, a century later, the automotive industry is going again, like other industries, of course, undergoing an additional revolution, which is known as the fourth industrial revolution, which revolves around everything related to the digitization of the manufacturing, and it's also called Industry 4.0, defined by enhancements of smart systems fueled by data, and of course, the analysis of this data using machine learning. But before we go quickly into the details about this and what is the real impact, a quick note or a kind of reminder of some challenges that we are facing here in this, let's say, industry. So first of all, as you know that the automotive manufacturers actually are divided typically into two sectors. One is the car manufacturers, which is us, OEMs, or car parts manufacturers, as you know, tier 1 and tier 2. And as we see, more cars are already on the road, and they are also continue to evolve and improve the number of parts. And the number of parts has grown already since previous years, which naturally has led to a kind of an increase in the parts being manufactured by different suppliers. But with the complexity of today's vehicles and the continuous drive to have a perfect end product, we as a car manufacturers are always facing kind of quality challenges that are, first of all, time consuming and of course, labor intensive, to resolve. So, of course, this is one point as a quick background. The second point is that, of course, we have entered the Industry 4.0. We are surrounded by many machines, devices. We are also going under multiple waves of transformation, driven first by emerging technologies, as of course, having everything connected, generating a lot of data every second, but also to have devices connected to each others, to devices to human interfaces, in order to provide a vast amount of real-time data from several sensors. And still, we are talking about only the mobility. Still, there is a lot of link, of course, when we talk about the smart city infrastructure and other things. And this data, of course, it's the fuel or the foundation of a new ecosystem created by disruption, which is actually, do you still see my screen? Yeah. Okay, so this data is actually, it's the foundation of this new ecosystem, which is actually disrupted or created by disruption. And this data or the analysis of data is actually enabling, first of all, to create new industrial solutions. And this is what we call leading to business transformation, as well as also enabling the next generation of mobility services, leading to improving the mobility or the customer experience. So this is another point, but also very important to highlight the digital disruption by non-automotive, let's say, players. And we have seen how automotive industry, first of all, getting disrupted by new players, like, for example, from unrelated industry like Amazon, Apple, Google, and much more. And with all those, let's say, players, those are fast, agile, design-centric, high-performance cultures are pushing us or pushing the traditional automotive players to fast-track the digital transformation initiatives across the entire value chain. Of course, from using the cutting-edge initiatives that we will go through quickly in the next slides. For example, the blockchain, data cloud, whatever, to make the value chain transparent and also improve the overall. So industry 4.0, but so in this presentation, actually, I will talk, as I mentioned, about how the automotive sector is being transformed and also what are those initiatives, just to highlight a quick point. So as we mentioned, of course, the Industry 4.0 is defined by connectivity, where we have Industry 4.0 ready facility devices connected everywhere. And the first, I think I have, yeah. So the first, let's say, kind of emerging technologies, of course, is the blockchain, which is one of the critical and important, let's say, thing that we have today to enable the transformation in this ecosystem. Quick background. So the blockchain is, of course, as you know, maybe it's a distributed database, meaning that it's a storage, it's a data or storage devices for the database, but they're not connected to a common processes. Instead, it maintains a growing list of ordered records called blocks, be it and each block actually, or a block, has a timestamp and link to a previous block, and making it, of course, impossible for any individual block to be altered without also changing the rest of the blocks behind. So why I'm saying this? Because, of course, blockchains, we can consider it as a very secure database by design, making it an excellent or making them excellent prospects for recording or saving things like medical records, financial transactions, etc. And here's some examples on how blockchain is changing the automotive industry here with the 5 examples that I mentioned. But I'll try to highlight, let's say, 2 examples of them, which is like, for me, I see it personally, those are the key transformation that we will see it in the sector, the new ecosystem. The first one is the secure payment, which is the number 2 in the list that I have in the slide. As maybe if you know, some of you, that blockchain first, when landed in public, it was a technology supporting the cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Remains a primary, let's say, arena in which blockchain technology is used. And here we can imagine that the car owners soon could use blockchain to pay for their electricity, to charge electric cars. And imagine if every time you charge your vehicle, let's say electric vehicle that you are charging, the action triggered in a smart contract on a blockchain. And of course, here we are talking about the context of smart city that took an all appropriate amount of the money from your account and sent automatically to the charging station. So the same could also go for the monthly parking costs, for insurance, or any other financial, let's say, transaction involving in the vehicle. The other also area that can be highlighted here, maybe the supply chain management, which is also a key point here. Of course, in the automotive industry, the transparency offered by distributed ledgers that could help ensure that manufacturing, shipping, and suppliers see the same, of course, supply chain, making it nearly impossible for the insertion of kind of counterfeit parts. Furthermore, multiple blockchains here could be also brought into use to manage the kind of a mass amount of data generated and also monitored by the automotive, both the manufacturers as well as the suppliers on the daily basis. So this is the first, let's say, important, let's say, initiative or technology part of the Industry 4.0. So Group Renault, so that is internal news since, of course, they started working on the blockchain technology since 2015. First, it was in the finance or for the financing purpose, but still, of course, it's allowing real-time networking or network transactions that also secure, it can be also help now to improve or to improve the efficiency, productivity, and responsiveness for the automotive industry. So this is, I'm trying to give some examples or even, let's say, benchmark from each, from the market on each technology. The second point, which is cloud or data cloud. So of course here the data collected. Yeah. So the data collected, of course, is becoming a vital element of manufacturing plants, as we said, for optimizing supply chains and manufacturing data. And here the cloud is one of the areas that could possibly highlight the new era where IoT will not merely be used as a purchase power, but also more as a tool that can impact internal saving and, of course, improve the overall or the bottom line performance. And also, again, another internal, let's say, example that how Group Renault started already or announced since last year the partnership with Google Cloud as a partner in order to accelerate the adoption of the Industry 4.0 revolution here. So as I mentioned, this will, of course, have or enable improvements in supply chain and also improve the efficiency and productivity here. The third one, of course, which is one of the most important, artificial intelligence and analytics. So imagine with all this data generated from the cars, from the sensors, from the driving, driver behavior, from the city, the smart city, of course, we are talking about where we have different, let's say, sensors in the infrastructure itself. With all this data, of course, we need to make sure that we analyze it well. And with the right use of this data, we can have a big transformation when it comes, first of all, to the driving or mobility experience. So the future car or my car can know who I am, what I need, or even predict what my car needs based on all this data captured from me or from the environment, which is, of course, helping at the end, not only improving the customer experience, because here it will connect me more to my car, because it will be much more difficult to switch to another or to change all my preferences or my data and to switch to another brand. I want all my data and my history to stay there, and I want to be loyal. Or how to say it, I want to be connected with that car that knows me already very well. So this is one thing, and of course, at the end or as a result, it will improve the business for sure. So AI, artificial intelligence and analytics, of course, is one of the important things. And of course, we heard a lot before about the hype and the headlines about AI, which was only focusing mainly on the use of AI for the autonomous cars with Tesla Autopilot as an example. But of course, today, the automotive industry or manufacturers are using or trying to work on AI applications that extend beyond across the entire automotive ecosystem, be it in the engineering or design or production, or even, as I mentioned, in improving the customer experience, or to offer new mobility services and much more, which could be also used to monetize this data and extend more business. Then number 4, which is one of the important, of course, let's say, technologies here, the IoT and predictive maintenance of factories and cars. Of course, we need to have the different sensors which are placed, whether we are talking about the cars or even the machines equipped with all those IoT sensors in the manufacturer or in the plants. So these are really key in order to capture all the required data. And of course, as I mentioned, with the use of AI and analysis, those data can help to predict breakdowns in advance, whether we're talking about plant side or even predict a kind of engine failure or whatever on the car side for the driver. And in both cases, of course, it could reduce the maintenance cost when we talk about the plant side, or even it can increase the availability for the car owners, as they will, of course, avoid those issues or, let's say, breakdowns. And according to Automotive World sensors in the supply chain, there was an example here by Bosch. They realized that a 25% increase in output for its automatic braking system and electronic stability program, simply by introducing the smart and connected lines here. Then also one of the very famous, of course, technologies that we are talking here about is the robotics technology. Of course, it's not something new. It's since 1961. And there are multiple rules and very important, of course, rules that they played in those plants. So, of course, they continue to be very important. They help to improve not only the quality, but also increase the volume of the production, and also to help or having robotics, of course, when it keeps advancing or improving now, it makes the manufacturing facility much more safe. So, for example, there are many benefits here by creating, for example, a safer work environment, as they take sometimes the most dangerous, let's say, task, or even allow to automate some difficult tasks, or even make the production floor interesting, when you have a human and machines working side by side. And also, it can help also to boost productivity and bring down the cost. So, but not only this, but also if you saw, there are different, let's say, benefits. Here I am sharing two examples. So first of all, the Toyota production system, if you hear about it, and which has a clear vision of utilizing lean principles of productions to reduce the waste at every stage of the car manufacturing process. So this was one of the famous, let's say, examples. And another one is news that I just saw, I think, a few weeks or months ago, about an upcoming EV startup powered by UBS, which is actually using or trying to have a kind of building a micro factories, doing the way with the traditional high capital intensive assembly line. So they are trying actually to use the robotics and to use to leverage all those advanced robotics and high-level computational algorithms in order to speed up and, of course, have a full powered plant. So this is another example which is new. I don't have yet a clear, let's say, background or until which extent or even about it, but I just thought to share this example also with you. Number 6, it's one of my favorite, let's say, examples of also using emerging technologies or even the evolution that it's not only impacted by Industry 4.0, but also by also the very, let's say, not famous, but the important topic or subject, which is the climate change, is first of how to recycle or reuse some of the components here. So here we talk about the circular design and sustainable manufacturing. So of course here organizations are defining their approaches to manufacturing by reusing some components and introducing circular design methodologies to manufacturing. And here the example again from Renault Group. So we are talking about the advanced battery storage project. And here we have many news about it. I don't know if you saw it already. So this concept is being developed and rolled out at the Renault Advanced Battery storage project, as I mentioned, started with France and Germany. So when EV batteries no longer meets the demand of the automotive or the car use, it can be, of course, before being recycled, be used for another purpose, which is also for a large-scale electricity storage, which can later, of course, be used for charging advanced buildings. Then we are talking about number 7, the software-defined smart cars. Here also, this is one of the important, let's say, expectation for the future, not the future, but for the near future cars that having, they will become kind of a software on wheels, and computer power will be actually the new horsepower. And this is how the consumers will consider their cars. So of course, cars are going to become much more an integral part of our connected lifestyles, as we are now living in a hyper connected life. And as I mentioned, of course, we're talking about connected car, having all this data captured, sent to the cloud, analyzed by the right algorithms, and then again sent back in format of services, based services. And with the voice recognition, personal assistants like Alexa, combined with the launch of 5G here, we can imagine, or the car can be connected, of course, to my smart home, to my smart office, and we will start to consider our cars like mobile phones. And of course, this is one of the things that is coming, or it will come already very soon. Then there are also, of course, other technologies that I'll just mentioning quickly, like, for example, the 3D printing, and also the digital supply network with advances in AI tools. So I try just to quickly cover all the different, let's say, technologies that are impacting, let's say, the automotive industry from the new Industry 4.0 revolution. But in order, of course, because at the end, these are all technologies, we have a lot of challenges, we have a lot, let's say, of not only the digital transformation that we are facing, but also COVID came with also a big impact, left a big impact on people and their behavior. So there are a lot of, let's say, a lot of challenges internally, externally, to adopt this kind of, let's say, transformation to serve both. So here I just try to summarize 3 points to have a kind of a successful, let's say, transformation fully. So first of all, this transformation, of course, requires companies or requires organization to rethink the way of doing business. So it's instead of only being product oriented or even just focusing on customer experience, here we need to think of the business of experience. So, and there are a lot of approaches that we know today when we talk about design thinking, by making sure, and it's one of the important approaches that needs to be really integrated in any organization today, to make sure that we adapt quickly for the changing needs, for also facing the challenges that we face on as fast as possible, as we already face a lot of, let's say, challenges, whether it's COVID or competition, or even answering the customer needs. So being always focused on the business or the problems, at the same time also linking that problem with the core business or the business value of the organization. This is actually the approach of design thinking. This will help the company to keep that pace with the transformation. So the way that we think, so design thinking is one of the important, let's say, approaches that needs to be developed. And the challenge here is it's not only when we talk about our side from manufacturers or even OEMs, but also when we talk about the mobility ecosystem here. Here, organizations are becoming more a kind of nodes in a complex interconnected network. So it's not like, for example, okay, we do or we implement all these best practices on our side, but we need to cascade the same to everyone else that we deal with in that ecosystem, or we might need to make sure that we are all playing the same way, the same level, which requires a lot of partnerships and, of course, a lot of work. As we are not, and we are not a kind of player by ourselves in this industry, but we are a kind of, let's say, one of the members, or let's say players in the new platform or ecosystem. So this is one point. Another, of course, let's say, important also aspect to be considered is, of course, to have or to make sure that we have well-trained resources in the organizations, that they are capable of handling, first of all, of course, unstructured data and big data tools, but also linking this with the business needs. So to have both an understanding of both the technical aspect as well as the business aspects of the organization and the use of this data. So the acquisition and the development here is really important. Maybe I will highlight here one of the points because I noticed on this area, I didn't see enough women in handling or working on this field, or at least in the region here. But having more women in AI or analysis of the data is also really important, because without the right training for all those machines, because at the end, they are machines, we need to integrate them. We need to integrate the values, the ethics, feed them with the empathy and all these things. And normally women are much more, let's say, sorry, men, if you are here, but normally women are much more capable when they integrate this to their kids, to the family. So they will be the best, let's say, or they will have a kind of advanced skills in training all these machines. So also the diversity is really key here, and having more or empowering more women in this topic. And the last one, as we are in a very integrated, let's say, or interconnected ecosystem, of course, this will happen or will be achieved only with the appropriate sponsorship and governance. And this including not only the product offering that we are working or selling, but also the business model, the manufacturing processes, and of course, ensuring that the final customer experience will be delivered as expected. And this is how we need to collaborate or even work even with those who gonna sell finally our product or even services to the end user. So I don't know if that's my part. I don't know if we still have a few time for questions.